Welcome to Orange Wave, your source for everything related to the NDP. I am your host, Will Adams. This week has been very eventful, I might say. There's been a lot going on. The weather's nice. I'm trying my hardest to work on relationship issues. The Prime Minister actually debated someone in a badass manner. You know, standard spring stuff. Some background is necessary. The Prime Minister was at the University of Manitoba when he was approached by a People's Party of Canada supporter. College age. They ended up discussing the Liberal NDP dental program and then eventually abortion.
Our dental program that is going to help low-income families be able to send their kids to the dentist. Would you support that?
I'm not fully into it. I just know.
Well, you don't think?
I'm for sure I'm against abortion.
Hang on. We'll put that aside for a second. Yeah. You don't think low-income families should have access to dental care?
I think they should.
You think they should?
Yeah.
Well, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party voted against that. Okay. So already you see the party you support. The party you support. Doesn't.
I'm not fully
support it.
I'm more PPC. I'm not really
more PPC.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is that? Why are you PPC?
I think they're mostly Christian. I think I'm against the vaccine mandate.
Okay, so mostly Christian. So you don't think we should be supporting Muslims?
No, I think we support everyone.
You should support everyone.
I think mainly liberal abortion is against Christianity. I think a lot of your
okay. Do you think that women should have the right to choose what happens to their own bodies?
Personally, no.
No, you think you should be able to choose what happens to a woman's body?
Well, I think if they're sleeping around, they shouldn't be allowed to abort the baby. Personally, I'm pro-choice.
Wow. Oh, wait, you just say you're pro-choice.
No.
You're pro-choice. No, you're not pro-choice.
No, I'm pro-life.
Okay, pro-life.
Yeah.
And you don't think women should be able to make choices what they do with their bodies?
With abortion, no. Personally, no.
Why not? Why not?
Because it was their choice to sleep around. They have to.
No. Whoa. That is. So a woman who is raped should be able to get an abortion?
I'd say that's where it gets complicated.
No, it doesn't get complicated.
But that's
either yes or no.
That's super specific examples.
No, but it's an all too common example. Right? Women get raped all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's something we have to take seriously.
With 95.
So let's talk about that specific example. Should a woman who was raped be able to get an abortion?
I'm split on it, 50-50. But I think 95.
No. You are not in favor of saying yes. A woman who was raped should be able to choose to not bear that child.
I honestly don't know.
Well, it sounds like you need to do a little more thinking and a little more praying on it as well.
The Prime Minister successfully exposed Trumpism for being a hypocritical ideology, how the people who believe it are always doing mental gymnastics and acting like everything is through one extreme lens. Shortly after, the Liberal Party of Canada tweeted, quote, "Justin Trudeau and our Liberal team will always be proudly pro-choice." This made me wonder, if JT can school people like this at rallies and events, why can't he school MAGA Poilievre the way the Juggernaut can? On the topic of the Juggernaut schooling MAGA Poilievre, have you ever noticed how Pierre never debates him in person, instead only quote-tweeting him and making baseless claims? This most recent event proves why, and I was quite literally cheering in joy when I saw this. Jagmeet Singh ended up making a tweet about how Pierre Poilievre, Conservative Party leader and Trumpism extraordinaire, and Justin Trudeau do not take on grocery store CEOs properly. A very truthful thing to say. And however, Pierre Poilievre made the brutal mistake of quote tweeting, "You're a hypocrite. Since you've joined the costly coalition with Trudeau, food prices and Weston's bonus have both skyrocketed. If you wanted to tax Weston, you'd have done it by now. Instead, all you've done is tax consumers by voting to raise the carbon tax on their food." I feel like the impression of Pierre I just did is immaculate. It completely shows how egotistical and grating his voice is. Anyways, after hearing that, usually when Pierre Poilievre quote tweets Jagmeet, he tends to not interact with it because when you give someone like him attention, it only makes it worse. But this time, Jagmeet Singh was having none of it, and he completely schooled Pierre Poilievre and exposed him as a fucking liar, and it was awesome. He tweeted, quote, "All you do is talk, Pierre. You voted against an excess profit tax. You voted against a wealth tax. You voted against eliminating stock loophole options. And when Galen Weston was summoned to Parliament, you ran away. You're the gatekeeper of the super rich.
Woo! That was fucking awesome! Yeah! Woo!
We have a cost of living crisis which is hurting people. And the Liberals kept saying that it's not our fault and it's worse in other countries. And then we've got a leader of the opposition who thinks you can magically opt out of the inflation by buying cryptocurrency, which ended up tanking and hurting people. So you got say nothing and do nothing, and New Democrats who force this government to put more money in your pockets. But my question is, what took this government so long to act when people needed respect and support?
This is truly fantastic. I now have a visual way to articulate why Pierre will not debate Jugmeat in the House of Commons. This is also proof that the Juggernaut is a force to be reckoned with, and how he is willing to take action on anyone, any day, no matter what. Okay, so this is going to be in the next episode I make, but it happened recently, so I'm going to bring it up here. However, I discuss it in more detail in the next episode. Earlier this week was Pink Shirt Day, which, for those who don't know or maybe live outside of Canada, is a day where everyone wears pink shirts to commit to end bullying. And a group of MAGA hat wannabes decided to make a scene at a Catholic school. Do you know why? Because this school supports students of all backgrounds. Because, as we all know, the most evil thing a school can do is that. I mean, come on, supporting students? The nerve of that school, am I right?
Pushed in that building. Many of you have been in this indoctrination facility. I myself, I was arrested at school for standing up against the garbage that they pushed against us. I am here in opposition to a drag queen performing in front of students, as well as a Stonewall rioter now giving a presentation. These influences do not belong in an education facility, and
get away! Ow, you're stepping on my
this does not belong in an education facility. It's gone on for far too long, and it's time we voice our opinions united.
You do not speak for the people.
So basically, these very bright individuals were protesting the fact that at this school, LGBT students are allowed to have the very shocking and unrealistic right to visibility and acceptance like everyone else at school. Of course, as they typically do, as we've seen with people like Kyle Rittenhouse, the right-wing establishment media is championing this twerp purely because he shares their agenda. These jackasses eventually ripped the trans flag out of the hands of a counter-protester. I just want to say for the record that if this was the other way around, the radical right would be crying indoctrination and would be pretending that they are being oppressed. But when youth who push their agenda do it, they consider them free thinkers, because when someone else does it, it's the majority, but when they see that the majority of people disagree with them, they put on the victim complex and pretend that they're oppressed. Because that's the conservative way now, I guess. I'm definitely running out of ways to say it, but the conservatives really like to complain about things that do not actually happen.
I walk to Burger King, then I walk back home from Burger King.
I was browsing the NDP community subreddit last night before I went to bed, because before I go to bed I like to check Reddit. And I found out that a handful of NDP supporters actually believe that Jugmeat Singh might be losing his steam. I know, that's a very ridiculous thing to say, a very wild claim too, but I guess some NDP supporters actually feel that way. I mean, come on. Jugmeat Singh losing his steam? I've never heard of such nonsense, especially with the role he's been on lately. But Canada's National Observer disagrees with me on that, and I'm curious as to why. This article comes from them. He then directed followers to sign a petition, the preferred strategy for both his party and the Conservative Party of Canada on almost every issue these days. There's just one problem. Every penny of Weston Jr.'s raise is already taxed. If he means it should be taxed at 100%, then that would have to apply to everyone earning a salary above a certain level. Since we obviously don't single individual people out for different tax treatment, and as University of Calgary economist Trevor Tomb noted, that would probably have the effect of actually reducing overall government tax revenues. But if Singh's proposed solution was off target, his anger certainly wasn't. It's hard to believe that someone whose company employs as many public relations experts as Weston Jr. could be so impossibly tone-deaf, but either he's not listening to them, or they're not telling him the truth. Accepting a 55% raise as the CEO of a grocery company, right as the country is in the midst of a national conversation about whether corporate greed is driving food price inflation, is an invitation to outrage, and it's one Canadians should indulge in en masse. Worse, his pay hike is a direct result of the elevated prices Canadians paid for groceries last year. Quote, 70% of Loblaw's annual performance bonus is based on sales and earnings goals, according to a Globe and Mail report. The company's results resulted in maximum payouts of 200% of the bonus targets. Weston Jr. is no mere corporate CEO either. Sure, his $8.4 million pay package isn't the highest in the country, and it's not really all that close. But as the son of privilege who inherited his position and standing among Canada's elite, and the literal spokesperson for Loblaws, he's the perfect avatar for corporate and capitalist greed. Why he would engage in this sort of deliberate provocation is anyone's guess, but mine is that he's too cloistered and blinkered to see the error of his ways. Sure, his family business paid some consultants to pretend this pay raise is somehow justified. The results of their reviews suggested that Mr. Weston's total direct compensation was below the market median and Weston's and Loblaw's compensation policy objectives, the company's proxy stated. They made that determination by comparing his pay to other corporate executives, who in turn now get to use his pay as a benchmark for their own raises. If there's a more obvious racket in Canada right now, I'm hard-pressed to imagine what it could be. This should be easy pickings for the NDP, but instead of making a meal of it, Singh used it to volunteer his own economic illiteracy and turned an easy win into an own goal. Canada needs a left-wing party that can make a compelling case for renewed economic order, one in which an executive's pay is more tightly and transparently linked to that of their average employee. And after 2 federal elections, in which he's won 24 and then 25 seats, both a far cry from the 44 seats Tom Mulcair won in 2015, never mind the high watermark of 103 set by Jack Layton in 2011, it should be clear Singh isn't the leader to make that happen. Everyone with common sense can tell that this was unbelievably contradictory and ridiculous. Not even mentioning how quickly the NDP tossed Tom Mulcair out because he did nothing to deserve my scrutiny. Everyone who doesn't buy into the lies of the right-wing establishment media knows that Jagmeet Singh is undoubtedly the best man for the job. Even before being an MP, Jagmeet Singh donated to pro-women, pro-LGBT, and pro-drug decriminalization charity efforts. He donated $6 million in 2021 to help small businesses get money when Trudeau was giving CERB checks to people like Galen Weston over small businesses that actually needed them. Even Stephen Harper at the Canada Strong and Free Network earlier this year admitted that Jagmeet Singh is the real opposition to Trudeau and the only one who's done anything meaningful in recent years to hold him accountable when he does bad things. In other words, they are disrespecting a Canadian hero who has done nothing but help Canadians, where Pierre Poilievre has sat on his arse for 18 years not doing anything of substance to Canadians. He is only the leader of the Conservatives because Carleton would vote Conservative if a fucking turtle ran. Jagmeet Singh is the best man and the only man for the job. He is going to bring accountability back to this country. He is going to bring economic prosperity to this country. He is going to fix every single issue that we have at large, and the right-wing establishment media is only writing smear campaigns because he is a threat to MAGA Polyev and every other mouthpiece that they have in the Conservative and Liberal Party. But hey, we all know that they're just scared, and I cannot wait to see the orange wave that we are going to see in 2025. Thank you for listening to this episode of Orange Wave. I am your host, Will Adams. I hope you have an amazing day, and remember, Jagmeet Singh loves you.